Welcome to Sports Chronicles. I'm your host, Crystal Stone, and I am joined by two fine gentlemen, Keon Cage and Adrian Carvajal, and we are talking Phoenix Suns and how this team is setting the Valley ablaze with some big roster moves. Now, according to ESPN, the Suns are finalizing the deal to ship out Chris Paul and bring in Bradley Beal, essentially forming a new big three with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Now, Keon, do you think that this trade in any way moves the needle for the Suns next season?
Crystal, that's a great question. The Bradley Beal trade is like a more money, more problems, and I'm not talking about Biggie. They bring in more money because they have four max players on this roster. You got DeAndre Ayton, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. Don't you wish you can have at least 10% of that type of money, man? But the problems that they're going to cause on this court is surreal. Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant are interchangeable pieces. They all can dribble the ball. They all can shoot the ball. They all can come around screens and spot up. They're interchangeable. It kind of reminds me of this team in Golden State. I think they go by the Warriors that won, 3-4 championships?
What do you think, Adrian? Are the Suns becoming the next Warriors with this trade?
Definitely not. Nobody's the generational talent that Steph Curry is, at least. And they don't have a true point. That's mainly their main issue. Cameron Payne is not a great starting point guard. That's one issue. Is DeAndre Ayton going to be on the squad next season? That's another big issue because, yes, he's a good center, but at times he's looked like he hasn't even wanted to be on the court at all. So it could have been some coaching issues with Monty Williams, who was just fired. But with Frank Vogel, I think it does bring some defensive identity to the squad. I think that it will help. But even with that defensive-minded coach, they're not great defensive players. None of them are on the squad. Bradley Beal is not known for defense. They're all known for offense. That's going to be their main issue. And, yeah, you said more money, more problems. But it's going to be problems on the court, not problems off of the court. So.
Yeah, and I agree with the DeAndre Ayton point. I honestly think that he should be traded. They've been sort of flirting around with trading him for the last 2 seasons, and I think it's finally time to move on away from that. So you've been bringing up some points of some pieces that they need to fill out. So what do you think they need to do in the offseason to sort of fill the squad out for next season?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things that they need to do in order to get their squad back on track. I think number one starts with the draft tonight. They have the 52nd pick as of right now. It could be the 57th, depending on if the trade with the Wizards for Bradley Beal goes through. They get the least favorable of those picks. 5-pick difference in the late rounds. Not going to make too much of a difference. But 3 players I think that they should go after are experienced big men. The first one, Adama Sanogo from UConn. Great center, played 4 years at UConn. Big guy, physically ready for the NBA, can rebound, can defend, and he's a great interior presence, which is what they're going to need if they let go of DeAndre Ayton. Number 2, Oscar Tshiebwe out of Kentucky, National Player of the Year last year, one of the greatest college rebounders we've seen in our lifetime at least, and he's NBA ready as well, played multiple years in the NCAA. He can rebound, he can jump. I mean, I think he's going to be a rim threat, which is what they're going to need because they don't have that as of right now. DeAndre Ayton's not their lob threat that I think that they're looking for at that position, but he can fill that need. And then also Colin Castleton out of the University of Florida. Yeah, he's a great player. A little bit thinner than the other two, maybe not NBA ready, but we've seen other players succeed with that. I mean, Chet Holmgren just went second in last year's draft. So these guys, these taller, skinny guys are getting drafted, and he fills a position that they need, which is the center position, maybe a stretch 4 position if they decide to keep Ayton and move Kevin Durant back to his natural 3, Booker at the 2, and Beal at the 1. Who knows where it's going to go? But Colin Castleton can be a stretch 4 that they might need.
All right, so you're talking about some possibilities, but none of these things are actual definites that could happen, right? So, Keon, outside of the possibilities of the draft, what other offseason moves should the Suns make?
Well, number one, I am in favor of trading DeAndre Ayton if that's possible, but just to get rid of his contract. But if we just want to talk about DeAndre Ayton himself, he's still a number 1 pick, guys. He's still one of the best, most athletic big men in this league. For DeAndre Ayton, it's more of just a mindset. I think with Frank Vogel, you'll get that mindset out of him. And Frank Vogel is a defensive guy. So big men love to play defense and love to capture lobs. We just need DeAndre Ayton to get that attitude and that mindset together. But I'm not in favor of the contract, but I still like the player himself. But they also can use, of course, a point guard. I think Trey Jones is a restricted free agent. That's a type of player. Dennis Schroeder is a type of point guard that can go out there. They just need somebody that can dribble the ball when Kevin Durant or Devin Booker needs a break. And if they can get a high active big man out of DeAndre Ayton and get a veteran point guard and get a couple of shooters, who doesn't like shooters, they can win it all.
Wow. So speaking of winning it all, now we've seen the last 2 seasons, the Suns have been second round exits. But with Frank Vogel coming in, you seem to be confident that the Suns could possibly win the championship. Is that your prediction?
I definitely believe they're going to at least get to the Western Conference Finals, but it'll determine if they play Denver or if they play LA. I believe if they play Denver, I believe they can beat Denver. But if they play LA, I'm in favor of LeBron rather than Kevin Durant. But I know you are from LA, so I don't know. I don't want to say too much about the Lakers, but I'll give the Suns a great chance.
What do you think, Adrian? What is the ceiling for the Suns next season?
It's all dependent on what they get out of DeAndre Ayton. Do they get good role players that they kind of need, some 3-and-D guys, or a point guard that they desperately are needing now? I mean, I thought they could trade for Tyus Jones, who was out of Memphis, but he just got traded in a blockbuster trade last night. So their pieces, it's really going to be dependent on DeAndre Ayton. Like you said, if he is that high-energy rim catching, lobbing threat, then I think they're going to be successful. And I think that he showed that against the Lakers a couple years ago in the playoffs, where he outplayed Anthony Davis, who at times Anthony Davis has looked like he's the best player in the entire NBA. So if he can do that and Frank Vogel can bring that out of him, I think that they're going to be very successful next year. I just don't see them beating Denver or LA, because as good of a defensive coach as Vogel is, and I have seen with my Lakers, he's not going to be good enough to get them to where they need to be. The offense is going to be great, don't get me wrong. They need to figure it out on defense. Is Aiden going to be on the squad? That's another thing. So second round exit again.
Wow. So it's three-peat in the second round exits. So even though they still have some time to finish out the rest of this offseason, it sounds like from the both of you, they still have some moves that they still need to make. Well, that is all the time that we have for Sports Chronicles. Again, I'm Crystal Stone, and for Adrian Carbajal and Keon Cage, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.